Today we're going to look at how do we find or take a percentage of numbers. So say you have a number and you want to know what is 25% of that number, or 38%, or 71%. How do we find a percentage of a number? So this concept is a part of everyday life. You'll see it everywhere, and one common place that you'll see this concept is in sales tax. If you've gone to the grocery store with your parents, at the bottom of the receipt, it'll list the items, right? The items purchased, the dollar amounts, and then usually they're going to tally up the items and then add a sales tax. It could be something around 9%, 8%, something like that. Sales tax, it's going to be added, and then you get your total at the bottom of the receipt. So say the groceries add up to $37 and sales tax is 9.7%. Today we're going to look at how can you calculate 9.7% of $37, or any amount of percent from any number. Okay, so first of all, let's just start with this example here. So I just kind of pulled this up. So 37, that's the dollar amount. If we want to find 9.7% of 37, how do we do it? And remember, we don't want to use a calculator here. I want you to know how to do this in your head or by hand, okay? So 9.7% in decimal form is 0.097. Remember, to convert percent to decimal, we just move the decimal place 2 places left. The decimal point 2 places left. Okay. So if we want to know 9.7% of $37, all we got to do is multiply 37 times 0.097. So let's do that real quick. Now remember, the trick for multiplying with a decimal is we're just going to count how many decimal numbers do we have, which is 3. And then whatever our final answer is from 37 times 97, I'm going to add 3 decimal points to that. Okay, so let's try this out. Actually, let me write it a little bit higher to not run out of room here. 37 times 97. Okay, so 7 times 7, 49, carry the 4. 7 times 3, 21, plus 4, 25. 9 times 7, 63, carry the 6. 9 times 3, 27, plus 6, 33. Okay, so 9, 8, 5, 3, and then we need 3 decimal places. So 1, 2, 3. And then, since we're talking about dollars and cents, let's round to the nearest hundredth. So $3.589 would just round up to $3.59. So on a $37 grocery grocery tab, the sales tax would be $3.59 at a 9.7% rate. All right, let's look at another example. All right, let's try to find 28% of 32. So the last example, I showed you the method of multiplying the number with a decimal. Remember, we converted the percent to a decimal and then simply multiplied that. So that's method 1. In this example, I'm going to show you a second method. So here's the method. We take 28%. 28% by definition means 28 over 100, because percent literally means per 100. Okay, so 28 over 100 times 32, that's our goal. Remember, a whole number can be written as itself over 1. So the second method is we're just going to multiply straight across. But before we do that, let's make our lives a little bit easier. Remember that we can reduce fractions. So let's divide 28 over 100 by 4 over 4 to make our lives easier. Okay, so 2800 over 100 is the same as 7 over 25. That's this part here, okay? Times 32 over 1. And now let's actually do the multiplication. So 7 times 32 over 25. So what is 7 times 32? Let's just do that real quick. 32 times 7. 4, carry the 1, 2, 2. Okay. So this equals 224 over 25. So 28% of 32 is 224 over 25. And we've done this many times. How can we turn an improper fraction into a mixed number? Well, 25 goes into 224 8 times with a remainder of 24. So there you go. 8 and 24 over 25 is 28% of 32. There you go. So this second method we did by converting the percent into fraction and then multiplying across. Okay. Now here's a tip. If we see something like 28%, 28% is close to 25%, right? And 25% is 1/4. So if you wanted to quickly check, is my answer reasonable? Well, let's just see. What is 1/4, right? 28% is close to 25%, which is 1/4. What is 1/4 of 32? 1/4 of 32 is 8. So 28% has to be a little bit bigger than 8, so our answer does make sense. There we go. All right, let's go to example 3, another one. This time, let's try estimating. Estimate 49% of 92. Keyword here being estimate. All right, so we do not need to find the exact number in this case. Let's estimate. When we're estimating, we're going to round. Now, what does 49 round to? Well, hopefully you would know, right? 49 rounds to 50. So if we're told to estimate 49%, let's just find 50%. That's the estimation. So what is 50% of 92? Okay, so let me just demonstrate the two methods that you could do this. The first one, what is 50% as a decimal? Well, 50% is 0.5. So if we do 92 times 0.5, okay, 0.5, so our answer, we need one decimal place. 5 times 2, 10, carry the 1. 5 times 9, 45, plus 1, 46, with one decimal point. Oop. So 46. This would be our estimate. Okay, method 1. Method 2, by fraction. 50% is 50 over 100, which simplifies to 1/2. So let's do 1/2 times 92 over 1. So it's literally just 92 divided by 2, right? 92 divided by 2, which is 46. And there you go. No matter which method you choose, if you do it correctly, you will get the right answer. So if we were estimating 49% of 92, we would get 46. All right, let's do another example of a real world scenario. So say you're eating out and your total bill comes out to $52. And you want to leave a 15% tip. How can we calculate this without using a calculator? Well, once again, let's do it two ways. First way is by converting the percent to a decimal. 15% is 0.15. Okay, 15% is 0.15. So let's do 52 times 1/5, and we're going to have two decimal places. Okay, 10, carry the 1, 5 times 5 plus 1, 1 times 2 times 5, 0, 8, 7, with two decimal places, 780. So 15% of a $52 bill would be $7.80. That's method 1. Method 2, let's convert 15% to a fraction. And how can we reduce? Well, we can divide by 5, so it'd be 3 over 20. So 3 over 20 times 52 over 1. Let's see, what else can we reduce here? Well, I could divide by 4. So 52 divided by 4 would be 13. And then 20 divided by 4 would be 5. So let's see. 3 times 13 over 5. 39 over 5. 5 goes into 39 7 times, with the remainder of 4/5, and 4/5 of $1 is 80 cents. Okay, there you go. All right, let's do another example. Change colors here. What is 75% of 6 inches? 75% of 6 inches. Okay. Well, we could convert 75% to 0.75, but 75% actually is equivalent to a very, very nice fraction. So let's do the fraction method instead. All right, 75% is 3/4. Remember, there are some percentages that it would be very helpful for you to memorize what the fraction forms are, because they show up quite a lot, right? So 75% is 3/4. So let's do 3/4 times 6. Okay, 3 times 6 is 18. 18, and then over 4. 4 goes into 18 4 times, with a remainder of 2. 4 and 2/4, which is just 4.5. So 75% of 6 inches is 4.5 inches. And for our last example, let's look at a percent that is greater than 100. Remember, usually when we're doing percent, it's going to be less than 100, but it doesn't have to be. For example, if you were to double something, that would be 200%. So for our last example, let's say find 204% of 30. So 204%. In decimal form, if we move the decimal point 2 places left, we would have 2.04. So let's do 30 times 2.04. Remember, we're going to have 2 decimal places at our final answer. So let's just times. Okay, so 0, 0, 0. 3 times 4 is 12. Carry the 1. 3 times 0 plus 1. 3 times 2, 6. Add it up with 2 decimal places. We have 61.20 And when we have a decimal number ending with a decimal 0, we can get rid of that last 0. So there you go, 61.2.